welcome. My name is Sophie Newton. I'm the Family Resource Coordinator at Creekside Elementary, and I'm here with...
My name is Amy Hannanen. I am the Prevention Specialist here at Silverleaf Sexual Trauma Recovery Services.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about a subject that's a little bit sensitive, so I just want everybody to be aware. We are going to be talking about child sexual abuse, and I'm just going to go ahead and let Amy start out with some statistics on that are related to child sexual abuse.
Unfortunately, it happens way too often. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will be sexually assaulted before they turn 18. In 90% of those cases, it's by someone they know. So it could be a family member, it could be an acquaintance, it could be someone from school, it could be someone from church. It's someone this child knows. It's someone that's in their life.
Okay, and that is a pretty scary statistic, Amy. You stated that 90% of children who are sexually abused know their abuser. How, as parents, can we decrease that number?
And that's a huge question. Like, we need to have that conversation. We need to listen to our kids. We need to just be aware of their surroundings, who they're around. But the biggest key is just communication. We gotta have communication with our kids. We gotta talk to them.
Okay. So in an effort to reduce the risk, communication, open conversations, what are some key points that parents need to discuss when having these conversations with children?
Don't be afraid to just have that conversation. Like, sometimes it can be intimidating. It can be maybe overwhelming to you because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get into sex ed. But it's not sex ed. It is just letting them know their boundaries. It's understanding with children, letting them understand, who they want in their bubble and who they don't. If they come to you and they tell you that they just get that crazy feeling, like, from someone, like, take note of that. That's a natural instinct that we have. It's just being honest with them, just answering those questions as they come up. One of the key points that really taught me a lot as a parent was when my son was 6, my daughter was born, and I was changing her diaper, and he was playing with his Tonka truck, and he was like, Mom, where's her penis? And I wanted to panic. I was like, oh my gosh, this kid is 6, like, what am I going to say, like... And I just said, oh, she's a girl. She doesn't have one. She's got a vagina. And he was like, oh, okay. So just answering those questions simply, like, you don't have to get into lots of detail. Just answer those questions, and that's going to build that base for them to ask questions as they get older.
Awesome. So what do you think, what is an appropriate age to start these conversations with children?
I think the age of 3, just having those conversations of, you have your own bubble. If you don't want to hug me, that's okay, because that's your choice. But also understanding, like, at the age of 3, that some kids have no bubbles. And at the age of 25, some kids have no bubbles. Like, it's that different personality, and just being respectful of that and not forcing them to do something they don't want to do, or, especially with the holidays coming up too, like, a lot of times we're like, oh, make sure you give grandma a kiss and a hug. Well, maybe our kid is not one of those kissy people. Maybe they're like, this is far enough. Like, respect those boundaries and just be aware of that, because that helps them teach, or helps them learn that their body is theirs, and they can, have a say in what happens to it, which helps protect them.
Yeah, so it helps them understand that saying no is okay to an adult when it comes to their body.
Yes.
Yes. So what is an appropriate conversation? What does an appropriate conversation look like with a 3-year-old versus, like, a 10-year-old?
A 3-year-old, you're going to keep it just basic. Like, it's going to be the private parts. Please, parents, one of the biggest things we see is those private areas called so many crazy names. It's a body part. It's a penis. It's a vagina. Just like it's an ear, it's a mouth, it's a hand. Use those proper names. Then they're not also going to be afraid to say, oh, well, this person touched me there. This person had me touch them. They're going to not be afraid because it's that taboo, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's penis. I can't say that. Versus a 10-year-old, you're going to use a few more details. You might get more into those boundaries. There's some of those pressures that they're seeing from some of their friends or some of those people they're talking to. A 3-year-old's not going to you're not going to hold their attention, for more than 5 minutes. A 5th grader, like you could have a lengthier conversation with them. And just let them know that it's okay to ask questions, and don't be afraid to answer those questions with the real answers. So.
Yeah, so like a conversation, I have a 3-year-old, so a conversation that we've had on numerous occasions when he's in the bathtub and we're giving him a bath, I just explained to him that no one is allowed to touch his penis or his butt, that those are his privates. And I don't go into any other detail. I just say, if anybody ever does touch you, you're welcome, you need to tell me. That is something that is so important. You need to tell me if anyone ever touches you. And I kind of just leave it at that. I don't go into any further detail, but we've started those conversations, and luckily I've had the background to understand how important it is. And if I wouldn't have had the education, then that may have slipped under the radar for me. And that's what I want parents, as you're watching this, to understand is the importance of talking with your kids at an early age, and also just not being uncomfortable to say the appropriate words and have those conversations, because it is the communication part is where it starts. I mean, if you're uncomfortable with them, they're going to be uncomfortable with you, and vice versa. If you feel comfortable talking to them, they're going to know that this is a subject that they can come to you about. So, very important. So most children don't come out and directly say that they have been sexually abused or that someone has touched them inappropriately. As parents, what are some of the signs that we can look for?
Difference in behavior, difference in attitude, like maybe towards a certain person. Maybe that child is, like every time they see them before, they were excited, and then all of a sudden they're like, hiding behind you, or they're like, no, I don't want to go over to their house, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to, like, definitely that change in behavior. Bedwetting is another sign that something could be happening. Mood swings, which is really hard because, whether you have a 3-year-old or you have a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old, like, hormones change, those brain changes, and those moods go like this. So, when you see those changes in behaviors, like, have that conversation. Hey, I noticed that, you're a little grumpier today, or I noticed, like, you're sleeping more, or, this is going on. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Let's talk about this.
Yeah. And just leaving it really open and broad like that.
Yeah, those open conversations you get so much from.
Yeah. Okay. So all this has been really great information. I think the last thing that we need to discuss and let parents know is how to, talk about how to react responsibly. If your child comes to you and discloses something, or even maybe you catch something, you see something that's inappropriate, how, as a parent, should we react to that situation?
This is the really, really hard part of being a parent. So initially you might want to scream and throw up and just, like, lose your mind. But you want to pull it together, and you don't want to let that child know that it upsets you, because then they're going to shut down and they're not going to tell you anymore. So just kind of keep that open mind, like poker face. Let them know that you are sorry those things happened to them, and that you're going to try to, get them help and get this to stop. Just letting them know it was not their fault. That's the biggest thing. A lot of times when children are abused, they feel like it's their fault. And we as adults know that's never true. It's the perpetrator or the weirdo, for lack of a better term, that has hurt our child. It's their choices. Our child did nothing to deserve it, nothing, they didn't ask for it, any of those kind of things. So just kind of keeping that poker face and just letting them know that you love them and you are so thankful that they told you is a key piece.
Yes. And then after the conversation, reporting it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, report. Like, call law enforcement. You can call social services. Those are the key, like, it's got to be reported. Kentucky statute, everyone in the state is a mandatory reporter. So if you suspect abuse or you know about abuse, under the regulation, you are required by law to report it. In a lot of the cases, there is not just one victim. That person has often had several victims. And I believe the statistic on that is that before a sex offender is finally reported or any major crime like that, they have perpetrated 12 times.
Wow.
So that's 12 kiddos that have been impacted and are afraid to say.
Yeah. And I know a lot of parents probably want to try to handle it themselves, and especially if someone that they know and they've trusted, but it has to be reported, because if it's not reported, it's not going to stop.
Exactly.
And the law has to do their job, and we as parents need to let them.
Yeah.
So the National Child Abuse Hotline, if something does come about and you need to report it, it is just 1-800-4A-CHILD. And then also, if you have further questions, you can contact Amy, and you can reach her by...
Our office number is 270-234-9236, or you can email us at info@silverleafky.org. And we're also on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so you can reach us there too as well.
And if you just want to reach out to me, if you just have questions, general questions, or want more information about child sexual abuse, you are welcome to give me a call at the Family Resource Center. My office number is 270-369-6238. That is a direct line to my office, so you don't have to call the school. You are welcome to call the school and ask to speak with Ms. Newton, and they will transfer you down to my office. You can also email me at sophie.newton@hardin.kyschools.us.
All right, yay! Thanks for watching, guys.